Welcome back to College Football Addiction. I've got Drake C. Toll locked on Big 12 with us again. And Drake, it's May, and so it's realignment rumor season, as you've known for the last couple of years. And this might be the most unique one that I've ever seen. Florida State and Clemson. And people that watch this channel know, people that watch your channel know, there's obviously a Florida State football right there behind me. This one probably tickled my ears more than anything else that I've ever heard. Florida State and Clemson might get an unexpected assist to get out of the ACC. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we already talked about how the Big 12 was a catalyst in killing off the Pac-12. What the nail was in the coffin was the Big 12 picking up the Colorados and Utahs and Arizonas of the world. And with that, Brett Yormark showed if it means the success of his league, he is happy to do whatever it takes. In 2030, $75 million will be the cost for Florida State or Clemson to buy their way out of the ACC. That's now low enough that they'll very likely do. We've all accepted the fact those two schools want to leave. The ACC, to appease them, said, wait, we'll give you a bonus structure for 5 years, more money because of the bonus structure. Then you can pay a much smaller exit fee than the original $500 million that was rumored. But now what we're hearing is there's an opportunity for the Big 12 through private equity, through the Big 12 garnering money from an all-state to expedite this process. So at Inside Big 12 on Twitter said Greg Flugard, the big expansion realignment reporter, was a catalyst for this report. Final thought of the day in the Big 12's plans. Assuming the Big 12 accepts enough private equity money to pay $300 million in ACC exit fees, and that would be for the likes of a Louisville or a Miami, and we can get into that about those schools possibly coming to this league. If they have the money in pocket, why not just add another $50 million in there and pay $25 million apiece, $50 million apiece to get Florida State and Clemson out of the ACC? If the Big 12 foresees the downfall of the Atlantic Coast Conference and wants to expedite that process, they want to make it smoother for all involved, the league itself could dole out money to help those two have a seamless exit from the league. And when they exit the league and the ACC dies off, now you, the big spender, have all the cards on your side. Obviously, Florida State and Clemson are not coming to the Big 12. I think they're going to go to the SEC, to the Big 10. But in their exit from the conference, if the Big 12 can help pull that off earlier than possible, now the ACC has lost Clemson and Florida State in all negotiation power that would come with having those two schools as a part of their conference. It's estimated that 30 to 40% of the value of the ACC lies with Clemson and Florida State. With them gone, you're crippling your largest economic value as a league. With that, the Big 12 can put themselves in good graces with the SEC and the Big 10 and say, hey, thanks for helping cover some of that cost. And not only that, now such a big spender, Miami, Louisville, NC State, Pitt, whoever you want, they look at you and say, wow, they're a big boy league. They just assisted two of the largest brands in college football getting out of their conference. Now, we already knew they were going to try to, but to get in the SEC's back pocket, the Big Ten's back pocket, to help them out with a couple million dollars, that's not a bad spot to be in. If you're the stone cold killer that Brett Yormark said he wants to be, and you see, there's an opportunity through private equity, through hiring Allstate to give you $500 million to help boost your league, we can utilize some of that to not only grab new expansion partners, but also become a partner with the SEC, a partner with the Big Ten. It's crazy. It's certainly crazy. But it's not the worst idea ever for Yormark to become the shark when the ACC is the prey. This isn't, again, crazy, yes, but it isn't the worst play Yormark could make.
Yeah, we've talked about this. Fans of both conferences have debated this, which has but I do think that this would be a way for the Big 12 to solidify themselves, to weaken an opponent. At the end of the day, it's about eyeballs, it's about revenue, it's about putting yourself in the best spot possible. In our next segment, we will talk about Miami and Louisville. Hit the subscribe button. We'll talk about maybe what the impacts are there for other schools. But with Florida State and Clemson, I would agree. It feels far-fetched. It feels crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could see it, but I'll tell you, 3 years ago, I don't know that I could have seen everything that's gone down now either. What I wonder, and maybe we'll have some legal minds chime in here, is there a bit of Is there a legal issue to doing this? Can you do this for somebody else? Like, if I was to give you a certain amount, if I was to give you $25 million, you'd have to there'd be some tax implications there. There'd be some things that you have to do to kind of cover yourself. Would the Big 12 really be allowed to do this? And that's more of a hypothetical. I don't know if you know the legal answer here, but you know how tortious interference and things like that work from a legal perspective. I wonder, and I'm somewhat asking that. I don't know if you know the answer. I'm somewhat just asking that out loud. Maybe somebody in the comments would like to chime in. But that would be my biggest question: is would the Big 12 even be allowed to do it?
Well, the exit fee is there. And now we're in the semantics of, does it matter who pays the exit fee? Because you saw what Oregon and Washington, there were multiple schools, SMU, who came to new conferences and weren't on 100% revenue share. So we already know that we don't have to pay everybody equally. The SEC could pull off getting Florida State or Clemson and not paying them equally. But could that conference actually give money to the ACC, like cash or a player to be named later to be able to commandeer those schools? Or could the Big 12 say, hey, Florida State, in the name of our conference through private equity, we want to give you a $50 million gift. Or, so these are questions I'm also asking the lawyers out there. Or can Allstate, who jumped into this private equity deal and wants a seat at the table and give the Big 12 money, can they say, hey, Allstate, as a part of this, we want you to give $40 million toward an exit fee for an ACC school. We want you to help pitch in because now your brand is going to grow as our conference grows. Say ESPN, it's only going to help you. And maybe that's what we've missed in the first 10 minutes of the conversation is where ESPN plays into this. Because we know if they want you somewhere and that conference is under contract with ESPN, they're going to find a way to get you there. Fox is the same way. Hey, we would really love the LA market in the Big Ten. Cool. Let's do it. Hey, we would really love if Texas and Oklahoma came to the SEC and built even bigger matchup. Cool. The networks are going to pull it off. And if they can pull it off, the conferences are under the NCAA rule, but TJ, we've mentioned it a million times. What's the NCAA going to do? They're just going to get sued. The second they're like, hey, whoa, tampering, or hey, whoa, you can't pay the exit fee, then they get sued for some random thing and they lose. Every single time they get sued, they lose. I do believe the power is in the hands of the conference here by and large. And honestly, with the way the ACC has become so destabilized, the power lies within Clemson and Florida State. They're going to find a way to pay that $75 million come 2030. And if the SEC helps foot that bill, the Big 12 can also help foot that bill, even though they're not getting those two schools, just as speed this process up, get in good graces with everyone else, and try to create a power three by adding Miami or Louisville or the rest of the league.
So here's maybe the last question. I'll ask you this because it's more directed at the Big 12 and its members, its current members. Mm-hmm. You're a Baylor guy, right? We've talked a ton about Iowa State's financial issues. We know that Colorado wants to compete at the highest level. BYU does. How do you feel if you're a current member of the Big 12 and the Big 12 says, hey, yeah, we're going to spend $50 million to help out Florida State and Clemson? Do you kind of look at that sideways? If you're Iowa State and you're like, dude, we might go under in a year or two. Like you can't do this. Like we should be investing that money internally. Would that give some Big 12 presidents pause?
I think so, but at the same time, we're talking about $50 million that when pooled to go one direction is very strong. When split 16 ways, that's the price of one quarterback in the NIL era. That's where you look at Iowa State and say, yeah, we'd love to help you out, but if we're being serious about this, our conference is going to think. This is great. I love that you asked that question, DJ. The Big 12 is going to look at Iowa State and say, do you want $4 million one time? Do you want $4 million one time? Or if we took this $50 million and everybody kind of pitched in and forfeited that $4 million and it helped bring in Miami or helped bring in Louisville, and from there, ESPN, when the Big 12 reworks its TV contract in 2031, this all is right around the same time, ESPN says, hey, we're going to give you $10 million more per year per school, go from $30 to $40 million per year per school because your league's valuation has grown so much with the likes of Miami or Virginia Tech or Georgia Tech or Duke or whoever. Because of that, now, you forfeited some money on the front end and, we're so unstable. But now you have financial stability, or at least more financial stability because your TV contract just went up. That's what you want. You want your year-over-year TV money to grow, to increase, especially in an era where that TV money is keeping the lights on at your stadium, at your tennis stadium, your tennis facility. If you're Iowa State, yeah, you forfeit a bit on the front end, but if the Big 12 can dole out private equity money toward adding bigger members, that's investing in the league long-term, investing in keeping ESPN, Fox, TNT in your back pocket, and that's going to pay off.
If you want to check out the second part of this conversation, click the video on the screen right now.